Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl, and before we get into today's video, I have a super quick announcement. Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, Jordan Sparks, and a bunch of other awesome moms have partnered up once again to put on the Super Mom competition. And I'm so honored to have been selected to compete. I'm so excited to represent my friends, my family, and my tribe in this competition. So I humbly, and with so much love, am asking you guys, my tribe, to shoot your girl a vote for Supermom 2024. The link will be in the description. You get one vote every 24 hours. Voting is free and paid voting is tax deductible, okay? Get that money. So, I love y'all, and let's get to the video. Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, okay? Your host, Beck. I'm happy to be here with y'all. I'm happy y'all are here with me. Happy April, okay? We made it to spring. I'm very excited because, yeah, I have seasonal affective disorder. I have seasonal depression, okay? We are out, but we made it. We made it through, so shout out. Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. Okay, it is April. April is Awareness Month for a lot of things, and I'm not very much surprised about that. That is honestly just in our nature, with spring being the true new year. That's what happens. But yeah, everything that is in April that is an Awareness Month, shout out. Okay, but today we're going to talk about one specific thing in April that April is known for, and that is C-Section Awareness Month, Cesarean Section Awareness Month. And this is really important and near and dear to my heart because I had a C-section and I also am a C-section baby. I really wanted to talk about this because I feel like there's a couple things that I haven't seen on the internet that I would love to see. And I'm a firm believer in, if you don't see a space, make a space. So let's talk, okay? As most of y'all know, I have an almost 3-year-old baby girl. I had her back in 2021. She was a little summer baby. Yeah, I had her back in 2021, and I was planning to have a completely natural birth. And I made my birth plan as such, planning to have a completely natural birth. And I didn't plan for a C-section. And I didn't honestly even do research as to what a C-section would be like, expectations, none of that. I had no expectations to have a C-section whatsoever, which is why when I was told that I had to have a C-section, I low-key started freaking out in the hospital because I was like, wait, what is that? Like, I knew what it was, but I was like, what that mean? What we about to do? I was very unprepared. I was very shook. I was very scared. Because like I said, like, the only knowledge I had about what a C-section would be like was from my mom telling me about how she had me. And honestly, like, it was very like gruesome and scary and didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So like, yeah, I was really scared. Like, I was very scared. And so that's why this month is really important to me, because I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about my C-section story and just give all the C-section mamas a little shout out, and also to let women know that if you are pregnant, please don't just be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a natural delivery, like vaginal delivery. I had to talk about that too. But don't just be like, yeah, it's going to be a regular vaginal delivery and just assume that it's going to be that, because anything could happen and you could need a C-section. And if that is the case, like, you want to be prepared for anything, because if you're not prepared to have a C-section and then you do end up having to have one, there can be a lot of trauma associated with the initial shock of just like how quick it can go from, okay, we're going to have vaginal delivery, to boom, okay, now you need a C-section, to now you're actually having the C-section. Like, that transition can happen very, very fast. And trauma can happen from being unprepared for things like that. You can still have trauma even if you are prepared, but it's way more likely if you are completely unprepared for a C-section and then you just go right into it and experience it. because that's what happened to me. So, okay. So a quick overview of my birthing story, super quick. I had my due date for my daughter, and she did not come when she was due. I think she came maybe like a week later, maybe not a full week, not like a business week, but maybe like a. So yeah, I had my due date. She came. She ended up staying in there like a week longer, and basically when I went to the doctor, when I went to my OBGYN, he was like, if she doesn't come by Sunday, then we will induce you. I think it was Sunday, but I don't know if that sounds right. I'm just gonna say a day. Come like Saturday, let's just say Saturday, or maybe Friday. I don't remember if it was 2 days or a day before my induction. I think it was like 2 days. Anyway, so a little piece of my mucus plug fell out, and then I started having contractions, so I went to the hospital. Thankfully, I requested ahead of time. I made sure to request multiple times ahead of time, and I even took a tour of the labor and delivery area where all the mamas had the babies, and I took the tour, and I told the nurses, like, I would like to have a hot tub room. Like, if a hot tub room is available, please make sure I have a room with a tub. Not like it's not like a hot tub, it's like a tub. So yeah, I took the tour and everything. So when I got there, thankfully they were able to get me a room with a tub, and I even put that in my birth plan. I'm like, make sure I have my tub, which I used like once, but it was very relaxing. I ate in the tub. It was actually nice. But anyway, I got there and I was having, contractions and stuff. And they came, they checked on me, and they were like, yeah, you're progressing regularly. And then after a couple times they came to check on me, then they were like, okay, well, your water hasn't completely broken yet, so is it okay if we break your water? And so I said, okay. They broke my water, and obviously they're monitoring you and they're monitoring the baby. So I was being monitored. They kept checking me, kept coming back. But then we got to a point where they were basically saying like my cervix wasn't progressing properly. And one side of my cervix was progressing, and then the other side was not. And then when they came back and they checked me again, then it kind of switched. So then the other side was progressing, the one that wasn't. And then the one that was progressing was no longer progressing. And so they were like, okay, well, we're going to give you until like 6:30. And then at 6:30, if your cervix still is not progressing properly, we don't really want your contractions to get any stronger. Like, they're basically strong enough for you to like have the baby. And the contractions were hitting hard and often. But basically, yeah, they were just like, we are just going to wait until 6:30. And if your cervix hasn't progressed by then we will you'll go ahead and have a C-section. And this is when I start sweating, because I'm like, what'd that do? Basically, they came back and my cervix had not progressed properly. And they were like, okay, well, it's C-section time. And so the first thing that they do is they have an anesthesiologist come in and do your epidural. And I hadn't had any x-rays of my back or anything like that, but I've had scoliosis since I was a kid. And so the anesthesiologist was trying to find the curve in my back to make sure that he didn't paralyze me and put the epidural in correctly. So he goes in the first time, boop, and it's hurting bad. And he is like he's like tapping the left side of my back, and he's like, do you feel pain on the left or the right? And I was like, the right. And he was like, oh no. So then he pulled it out, he put it back in. He didn't get the needle all the way in, but he put the needle back in. It was wrong again, so he took the needle out again. And like my husband and his mom were like yelling at the guy because it was like wrong again. The second time when it was wrong, I was telling him as he was putting it in, I was like, it's starting to hurt. And then he just hit something and it just hurt so much. And they just immediately started yelling at this man. They were like, stop. Like, so he stopped and he pulled the needle out again, and then he put it in again. And the last time the epidural took, so the last time he did it correctly and we were good. we did the epidural process, and I was clicking the button because I'm like, yes, give me the drugs, like I'm finna pass out. And yeah, 6:30 rolls around, and you know, it was C-section time. Basically, like, my husband scrubbed up and everything. His mom waited, and they took me into, by that time the epidural was already working, so I can't walk. So they took me into the room where the C-section was going to be performed, and they moved me onto the bed of the C-section. And also, if you are like squeamish or skittish, I don't know what the term is, then this part might not be for you. But I'm not gonna get too in detail. But anyway, they moved me from one table to the next, or from like basically like the rolling bed to the actual table where the C-section was going to be performed. They hit me with some more drugs because, like, literally when you have a C-section, it's best that you don't feel anything at all. And unfortunately for some women, sometimes their epidural doesn't take properly, and sometimes they just feel the whole thing. And so, yeah, basically you have to lay with your arms out like this. They tell you, you're gonna feel some tugging, you're gonna feel some like cutting, but you won't feel any pain. And I'm like, okay. And they also say, like, oh, you're gonna feel pressure, tugging, cutting, no pain. And my husband is basically sitting like right here. At that point, I feel like I'm just like high as a kite. Like, this is where I feel like I'm starting to become a little less like coherent and a little more just like, I don't know. I definitely felt like not myself at all. But yeah, no, I did feel the cutting. I did feel the tugging. The first little round of tugging was very like, it's hard because it's painful. Like, it felt pain, like I felt pain. I mean, obviously nowhere near the amount of pain that you would naturally normally feel without the drugs. But the first little bit of tugging was actually really like, it hurt. It definitely didn't feel like, it hurt a little bit. It hurt a little bit. Okay. And I remember asking, like, because I was still like, I was a little high. I was a little high off some drugs, whatever they gave me. I was loopy. But I still do remember asking, like, the guy that was giving me the drugs, that was in charge of my, like, anesthesia and all that. I remember asking him, like, am I supposed to feel stuff? And he was like, it's okay. Yeah, you're going to feel some stuff. And I was like, okay, because I feel stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was freaking out, and it was all happening really, really fast. Like, you think it's not going to, but from the time that they wheel you out of the room to the time that they are pulling the baby out, it is very fast. They tell you it's going to be about 30 minutes long, and it feels like 10. So yeah, I felt the cutting, but that didn't hurt. But that original tugging was like very, like, it hurt a little bit. I heard people talking, but like I couldn't really like tell what they were saying. Like, everybody was just talking, and they're just like, I just heard, it was just so much. Like, obviously you don't see anything because the curtain is up. There's a curtain, but yeah, like, I heard talking, but for the life of me, I cannot even remember the things they were saying. Up until maybe the end, I do remember him saying, like, okay, we're gonna put the staples in and all that. Like, I remember that. So between that point and getting into the other room, I don't actually really remember a whole lot. Like, there's a lot of parts that my husband had to help me piece together, which is like, honestly, like, I'm trying not to cry. It's honestly the saddest part about my birth experience is that, like, I don't remember seeing my daughter's face the first time that she came out. My husband did tell me, like, oh, they did show you, you know what I'm saying? I don't remember what I said. I don't remember any of that. Like, I don't remember them showing her to me. Sometimes I feel like if I really think hard, I could, but I honestly don't. I didn't even remember what her face looked like until actually when I was in like the post-op room that I was going to be staying in. And I remember looking at her and saying, like, is that her? I remember that because anything up until that point, like, I cannot remember what her face looked like. Even after when they took me to that first post-op room, where they first tried to get the baby to latch and everything, like, I remember that room. I don't remember what her face looked like in that room. I don't remember. I remember holding her, but I don't remember, like, for the life of me, like, and I really wish I could, and, like, that's a moment I really wish I could, like, have back. Unfortunately, you don't get to have those moments again. So, but I also feel so blessed because if, you know, back in the days, when they couldn't perform C-sections, or even when they were very early in their development of performing C-sections, like, sometimes mommy and baby wouldn't make it because they didn't know they couldn't do that. You know what I mean? And so I'm also just very fortunate and very blessed and thankful to be in the time period that we're in, that I can still be here today and she can still be here today. And I think that sometimes there is a bit of guilt that I do feel from not being able to have a vaginal delivery, because I do sometimes think about, like, what if these were those days? Sometimes that thought pops into my head and I feel really bad about that. But we are in this time period, and I'm very, it's not missed on me at all. And I'm definitely very grateful that I have the opportunity to have a C-section and that it went smooth and as planned and well. But yeah, there are times where I do get a bit sad that I don't remember seeing her for the first time, until seeing her well after I had already given birth to her. But yeah, they pull the baby out. Usually they show you the baby, whether you remember or not. I don't remember any of that stuff. I don't remember if my husband cut the cord. I don't remember. I don't know. All that happens. And some women, like I said, some women feel the pain while they're having a C-section, and some women actually, like, they throw up. Sometimes you can get sick. I didn't get sick, I don't think. I don't actually know, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. So I feel like I'm really happy about that, because one of my main, like, fears of giving birth was either throwing up or pooping. Now, I don't know what happened on the other side of the cloth. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I didn't throw up, and I didn't pass out. I just don't remember. That whole process happens. They sew you up, they staple you closed, and then they wheel you into a different room, which is kind of like the post-op room, but that's not where you stay. But in that room, is that where, actually, don't quote me on that, because I literally can't remember that time, but I'm pretty sure that's not where you stay. That's just like your post-op room. Anyway, then you wheel you to another room, and this is where they press down on your stomach. Nobody told me that they did this, but they press down on your stomach, and when they press on your stomach after you just had a C-section, like, it is very painful. That pain was a pain that I had not felt, like, ever. And I think what they told me was, like, oh, they want to make sure that your blood isn't clotting or anything like that. So yeah, they press on your stomach multiple times. They do that literally all the way basically up until you're ready to leave. And you do stay there for a couple days after the C-section. But yeah, they basically do that every day until you're ready to leave the hospital. But the timing is more spread out. So when you're first post-op, it's more frequently that they're gonna come and press on your stomach, and it does hurt. And so that was pretty bad. That was painful. That was painful. I wasn't expecting that. No one told me that was gonna happen. And it kind of sucks because me and my mom weren't in the greatest place during the time where, like, pre-labor, or even when I was having the baby, like, at that time, me and my mom weren't even that close, really. Yeah, so she had one too, with me. And yeah, it definitely would have been a fantastic to know that they were going to do that after I had the baby. I was unprepared. It's kind of business as usual. Once you go into the room, they expect you to, like, stand up and, like, move very quickly after you've had the baby. Like, they were like, okay, you stand up. I'm like, stand up. Like, when you get to your actual room, at a certain point, someone will come in, they're still pressing on your stomach and stuff like that. But they're like, oh yeah, like, let's see if you can stand up and use the bathroom. And honestly, it was so hard to walk. Like, when you, like, have a C-section, they pull your abs apart like this. So, like, imagine that, someone doing that, and then you have to now stand up and you have to walk. And you have a cut 7 layers deep into your body. Bro, I could not walk, bro. My legs was not trying to move. Like, it was very hard to walk. Stepping in the shower was like, oh my gosh. Showering was very difficult. And you want to shower. Like, especially like you want to shower. Like, you're going to want to shower. And I bought a change of clothes so I could shower and everything, but showering was really hard. I don't know if I cried. I cried in the shower plenty of times after. I don't remember if I cried the first time though. I think the first time I was just scared I was gonna fall. Like, I just didn't want to fall. So I was really just focused on standing and like staying upright. Sitting down to use the bathroom and then standing up to use the bathroom was like a feat. It was really hard to do. So yeah, and honestly, taking a shower remained very difficult even after you get like released to go home. The recovery after a C-section is hard. It was hard, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Getting in the car was painful. The car ride home was painful. Hitting potholes hurt on your way back with a C-section. Hitting potholes was bad. It was tough business. Reverse, because before you leave, obviously they come and they take your staples out, and that it hurt. It didn't hurt as bad as other things, but that definitely did. It wasn't comfortable getting the staples taken out. When you shower, you can't you have to be careful of the incision, but you also have to wash the incision as you know what I'm saying, as time progresses. So it's like the whole thing is kind of hard. And then sometimes you're like, there's stuff you put on it, and like sometimes your incision can get infected, and it really made the healing process really like hard to do. Like, you still have a lot of the same vaginal symptoms as a vaginal birth. You don't have the exact same because you didn't you might not have like a tear, but you do still have similar. And then to deal with the incision, yeah, it was hard. At one point I thought my incision was getting infected, but it wasn't. Thankfully, I really was trying to do a really good job of keeping it clean, which was not easy. It also was hard because my husband wasn't able to really stay out of work for too long. And so we had to like set up ways for me to pull myself in and out of bed, because my abs were like literally wrecked. So getting in and out of bed was very difficult, and it was painful. It was painful to sleep after. It was painful to sleep at home. And I also have scoliosis, so being in the bed, like my back was killing me at the hospital. So my back was really hurting, but I can't lay on my stomach. Like, I can't like, and then my incision, and then it just is a lot. And I think that everybody should be checked on, right? Every woman who has a child should have some sort of help and should be checked on by her loved ones. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if someone has a C-section, it's like, it's almost like there's this stigma about having a C-section, that it's easier, or that it's the easy way out, and that it's better. And then there's also a stigma that having a C-section is not a natural birth, right? And I don't subscribe to either one of those. I think that both vaginal and C-section deliveries are hard in their own way. And I think that I wouldn't even try to say one's easier than the other. There's a lot of give and take in a lot of those areas. I think I've heard a lot of stories of C-section moms saying that they don't remember seeing their baby when their baby's first born. And I think one of the hardest parts is that I don't remember seeing her face. And like that original skin to skin contact where they can like pass you your baby and you can like cuddle, and like I didn't have that. And that was hard. And if I did have something similar to that, it's like, it's not there. Like, it's not in my memory bank. It's not something I can like cherish. To me, I didn't have that, and it didn't happen. And that was really hard. And the process and the emotions behind like getting cut open like that and being awake for it, because for most C-sections, majority, you don't go to, it's not like, they try to make it seem like you go to sleep. Like, you go to sleep and then you wake up and you have a baby. You're not asleep. You're awake. Your eyes are open. people are talking to you, you hear people talking, things are moving. And even if you're not coherent, which sometimes makes it even harder, like for me now, thinking about it, like the fact that I wasn't even coherent, but I can remember people talking, it's hard because I'm trying to remember what people were saying to me, but then it just puts you in a place of trauma because you're like the only memory you have is just fuzzy voices in the background and being in some kind of like drug, like it's so hard to explain. But yeah, there's trauma with giving birth vaginally, but there's definitely also trauma with having a cesarean section. Like it can be very traumatic even if you don't throw up, or even if, you know what I'm saying, even if you can't feel high levels of pain during your cesarean section, which there are women who literally are screaming having cesarean sections because they're feeling pain. Even if you don't have that, there's just a trauma of feeling your body being cut open while you're wide awake and feeling people rummaging inside of your body. And you're thinking like, oh, it's just going to be tugging. But it's like you feel people in your body. Like there is trauma within that. And so that's why I don't subscribe to the idea that having a C-section is the easy way out. I don't subscribe to that. I think that it has its challenges in its own right. And I think that both processes also are beautiful in their own way as well. With this being C-section Awareness Month, like, yeah, I kind of just wanted to share my story and just say that, you know, if your loved one has had a C-section and is at home, it's like, don't think that because other people are saying like, oh, C-sections are the easier way out, that you shouldn't go and check on that person, because I guarantee you, like, that person is going through it. I mean, they're struggling just to sit up. There also is a lot of like, you go through a lot of feelings of insecurity after having a C-section, because a C-section mama might not have a snapback like another mom might have because of the damage that's been done to our abs. And so it's like when we try so hard and we work out, sometimes our stomach is still going to poke out because we had that C-section, and because our abs were like literally like ripped, like pulled apart. Like even just being in some of the C-section support groups that I've been in, it's like that mental struggle of like self-worth and like confidence that we deal with post C-section is really hard on us. So yeah, like please still pull up on a C-section mom like the same way that you would pull up on a vaginal delivery mother and make sure that she's okay and has help. Like C-section moms need the same amount of help. Like, and in some cases, I don't want to say in all because everybody's different. In a vaginal delivery mom, there might be a vaginal delivery mom that needs a heck load of help. But in some cases, like I said, like I was going to say, sometimes a C-section mom might need more help. It's really hard for us to like move. And it's really hard for all mamas to move after they have a baby. So just, I don't want the stigma to make people think that like a C-section mom needs less help because she took a route that is easier, because it's like, it's not easier. It's not easier. And we do need help. We need the same amount of help. It's not easier. It's not easier. I'm not saying it's harder. I'm saying it's not easier. For other mamas, it's good to know that a C-section, it's definitely possible that you could need one. Even though we all pray and hope for a vaginal delivery, I'm not gonna say we all, even though people usually pray and hope for a vaginal delivery and plan for a vaginal delivery, you could need a C-section, and you don't want to be unprepared because there is trauma that comes with being unprepared. And do I think I could still have trauma even after being prepared? Yeah, I think because of what it was and because she was my first baby, yeah, I think that even if I would have prepared myself for a C-section, it's very highly probable that I probably would still have trauma from having a C-section, because she was my first. So I can prepare online all I want, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I know what it's going to be like. And I also think that there's another stigma that C-section moms, once you have one, you have to have another C-section every single time you have a kid. And I think with some people that may be true. And I also think with others that is not necessarily true. And there's tons of women who have VBACs, which is vaginal birth after cesarean. So yeah, there's tons of women who have had VBACs, and so it's not impossible. Like after I had my daughter, my OBGYN did like sit down with me and tell me that he believed that my chances of ever having a vaginal delivery would be slim, and that he believed that I would probably need a cesarean section for any other births following this one. And sometimes it's hard in the medical field because, cesarean sections do, they run the bill up a little bit more. They're definitely a little more expensive than a vaginal birth. And so sometimes like you're wondering like, is this really true, or is someone just telling me this because they want more money? Like, I don't know. But that is just what I was told. It was basically saying, he feels as if my chances of having a normal, healthy vaginal birth are slim. That the odds of that are slim. Now, he said it's not impossible. He said I could, but based off how everything was this time around, he doesn't 100% believe that I will be able to. I also had a hard time with that and wrapping my mind around that, because I think like my original goal with having my daughter was to have a vaginal delivery. And so to now hear when I'm in this like very vulnerable, like hormonal, because you're very hormonal after you have a baby too, but this very like vulnerable hormonal state that like I may not ever be able to have a normal vaginal birth, like that hit very hard. And so yeah, and I think that that's another thing is like a lot of women who have C-sections are told like, well, you'll just have to have another one the next time and another C-section the next time. And there's some women in a lot of groups that I'm in who are on their sixth C-section. And it's kind of also not great to have your uterus cut open so many times, And there's also a lot of like mental like trauma around that as well, because now you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be cut open every single time I want to have another baby. Like if I want to have another baby, they're gonna have to cut me open again and again and again and again for me to get the size family that I'm dreaming of. So yeah, there's a lot of thought given to that as well. So I think that is also a really hard aspect to like think about after you've had a C-section. Saying that a cesarean section is not a natural delivery, I am not saying that anymore. I've been saying that, like people have been saying that for a while, and sometimes I catch myself saying that, but I don't subscribe to that either. I would at some point like to have a vaginal delivery so that I don't have to be like cut open every time. And I want to do more research on that to see if that's something that I can do. But to hear my OBGYN who knows, you know what I'm saying, basically, no weird stuff intended, but who knows the like my ins and outs as far as like my like health, just tell me straight out, like, I don't think you're going to be able to have one. Bro, like, that hurt. And I think I'm still like dealing with that also. I just don't think about it every single day. But at the end of the day, like bringing life into the world, whether it's via C-section or vaginal delivery, like it's still such an honor, and it's such a beautiful process to literally give a soul its place on earth. Like even though things didn't go as planned, I wouldn't even change it, because really the main purpose was get baby out safe, get mommy out safe, and start my life and start my family. And I was able to do that through cesarean section, and I'm very, very, very thankful for that. And I'm honestly also very proud of myself for being able to do something like that. And I'm also very proud to represent and be able to talk to a demographic of women that need more support. And so with everything comes a silver lining. And even though there were so many struggles, that I have faced since having a cesarean section, and because I had to have a cesarean section, like, I wouldn't even change it, because I want to be able to provide this information and knowledge to other women as well. Happy C-section Awareness Month to all my C-section mamas out there. I'm so happy that all of you ladies have made it through that process. I also want to recognize women who have had a cesarean section whose babies have not made it, and give love and blessings to you. And I also want to acknowledge women who have had to have a cesarean section who have not made it. I think that that is also very important. There can be a lot of scary health complications with giving birth in general. It's about all the mamas who are having babies, because it's hard and it's scary. And there's trauma whichever way you go, and whichever way has to happen. That's my C-section story. As a message to all the C-section mamas, a big thing that we struggle with is feeling like we are illegitimate or not as legit as mothers who deliver vaginally. I struggled with that too. I felt like I wasn't as legit or solidified as a mother because I didn't give birth vaginally. And I felt like that a lot, very much in the beginning. But you are legit, okay? You might not have pushed your baby out, but you certainly went through a gauntlet to have your baby. You certainly worked hard, and you certainly did grow your beautiful child for 9 months. So we are as legit as all other mothers. Don't feel shame. I think there's a lot of shame and guilt. That doesn't mean that we are not capable. So you're capable. You're loved. I see you. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Like, me too, girl. Me too. So don't even worry about it. Happy Cesarean Section Awareness Month, y'all, okay? I love y'all. I know this got kind of deep. My daughter just woke up, but yes. Thank y'all for being here with me. I'm happy to have been here with y'all, okay? Drink your water, drink your tea, do your yoga, relax, enjoy the sun, because spring is here, all right? And like, comment, share, subscribe. If you have a C-section story, share it. Even if it's not your C-section story, at least share, if you had a loved one who had one, how you were able to help your loved one who had a C-section, and what worked well for them, and what they enjoyed and appreciated about the help that you were able to give them. So, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share, and love y'all.